Welcome back, guys. This slide is a little bit of a history lesson. You're looking at two of the people that had the most original contributions to our understanding of the solar system. They both lived about 400 years ago. The gentleman on the right with this magnificent mustache is Tycho Brahe. He was quite an enigmatic character. He was very wealthy. He's from Denmark. He was interested in astronomy, and some people have called him the very first competent mind in astronomy. That's debatable, but he did build a state-of-the-art observatory on an island near Denmark. Unfortunately, that point on Earth has about 300 cloudy days a year, and so he was fairly limited in his observations. But his wealth allowed him to construct this observatory and bring in the best equipment that was available at the time, and he made very careful observations of the motions of the planets and of Mars in particular. And then he did an odd thing. He took his data set and he guarded it jealously and shared it with no one, which is kind of the opposite of what you really want to do if you're a scientist. This gentleman on the right side is Johannes Kepler. He was an extraordinary mathematician, and he had sort of a tumultuous childhood and life, but he ended up working very closely with Tycho Brahe. At first, they had a falling out, but they patched things up, and Brahe finally did share his complete data set with Kepler. And what Kepler discovered over the course of 20 years is a couple of things. One is that planets don't follow circular paths around the sun. They follow ellipses. Now, this was a big deal because everybody at the time thought that planets followed circles around the sun. One of the reasons they thought this is that circles are, perfect, and the sky was supposed to be a perfect place. The sky was sort of the heavenly sphere, and the idea that there would be imperfection in the sky hadn't occurred to people. In fact, even the idea that there would be change in the sky was resisted up until Galileo pointed his telescope at the sky and saw all kinds of imperfection out there, right? The second thing that Johannes Kepler came up with is an idea that as planets trace out their elliptical orbits, they move faster at some times and slower at other times. You've witnessed this, although not maybe in the context of planets. And the third thing that Kepler said about planets is that the closer they get to the sun, the faster they orbit, and then as planets move away from the sun, they orbit more and more slowly, and that there is a mathematical equation that describes this with remarkable precision, right? So what you should know from this slide is that Tycho Brahe gave us the first, what you might almost call modern data set in astronomy, a data set that described the motion of the planets, and that Johannes Kepler used that data set to come up with 3 laws of planetary motion that we'll look at in the next slide.